Welcome to Tech Leader 360.
We were able to convince Bill Gates.
Effective leaders understand the weight of what their leadership is, but they don't recognize it in themselves.
In my experience, stories change culture.
Why are you going to all these Muslim countries? Are you a drug smuggler?
And there was an entrepreneur there that was talking about product market fit.
What made you to leave the Microsoft?
I was doing well at Microsoft.
Can you talk about leadership experience in nonprofits?
Leadership happens top down, side to side, bottom up.
Do you empower your staff or do you micromanage your staff?
It would be foolish.
All of these people, whether it's Satya Nadella or Bill Gates or Steve Ballmer, Paul Moritz, I mean, they're just endless number of people who kind of gave you time. And with that time, you actually learn things.
Leaders have built their own stories. Tomorrow, you can build your own story. Use Tech Leader 360 as your reference tool to build your leadership journey.
If you are a software engineer or a data scientist or a solution architect or any IT professional, this is for you. Alex, thank you very much for coming to our podcast, Tech Leader 360.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So how do you feel this setup, Alex, here?
Looks amazing. I think you guys have done an amazing job. It feels like it's super homey. Looks great.
Awesome. I've known you since last couple of, I think more than almost like close to a year or something like that, right? So when you have contacted through HBS Club of Seattle, that is where I met you and learn about you, and I'm super impressed your profile, Alex. First of all,
Oh, thank you.
so you had a pedigree in your resume. That was a fantastic, and it was amazing to see. I mean, I'm super impressed to talk to you in person, and thank you very much for coming to our podcast. And
Of course, thank you. Thanks for having me.
can you talk about your background? Where did you come from?
Yeah,
Where are
totally.
you from, and all this stuff?
Happy to share. So yeah, my story, bit of a mix of geographies and cultures. In my background, I was born in Mexico. I was to a Mexican mother and a Spanish father. My family moved back to Spain when I was really little. I was 3 when I moved back to Spain. So I grew up in Spain, going to a French school. My grandmother was French. And then so I grew up in Madrid, and then for college I went to France. I was super fortunate. My family supported me. Had the privilege of studying in Paris for my undergrad. Had an amazing time. And from that point on, started doing a number of things across a number of places. Anywhere from a bit of investment banking early on in New York, and then, believe it or not, going for investment banking to the army in Spain, which I vividly remember going from being on the 27th floor of a building in Manhattan to being really on the ground with a helmet, just seeing people sort of running around me. Did that, and then joined McKinsey. Went to business school, as you know, at HBS, and from then, had a career that was primarily, across a number of geographies. I was fortunate enough to work in a number of places, but that started at McKinsey. Initially, with an idea to work in media. I came out of I went to HBS and spent a lot of time thinking what I wanted to do. And as they encourage you to do, and I came out of there thinking, what I want to do. I want to work in media. This is what I want to do, because I really love video, and I love media, and I love film, and so on. And I joined McKinsey I actually rejoined from business school, and I said, but I really want to make sure that I work in media. And they were like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, come in and you'll work in media. And first thing I know, they put me on a retail project, which was like at the opposite of what I wanted to do.
So basically, the retail project was the first project where you, as a rookie,
Basically, yeah, and it was like, again, the opposite of what I wanted to do. And I tried, I did know some people in the firm and in my office. This was out of Madrid, and I tried to pull all these strings I knew to get out of this retail project as much as I could. And commerce and so on felt like data to me as an industry, and I couldn't pull it off. It's I failed. So I did my retail project, and a month, 2 months into it, I was in love with the industry, and I remain in love with it. Everything around stores and selling and commerce and e-commerce are things that really I'm really passionate about, and I've been working on ever since, actually, in different ways. Now, my passion for media hasn't gone away, so I also get the chance to work in media in different capacities. And the rest of my story is a story of working at McKinsey for many years, multiple geographies, then working at CVS, running the beauty business for CVS, and then Amazon, Prime Video, and now I run a startup at the intersection of commerce and video.
So before we go the other side, I want you to help me to explain about the HBS experience inside classrooms. How many case studies that you have gone through?
Oh my God, I don't know how many case studies, but I am a huge fan of the Harvard Business School case method. I had a phenomenal time at HBS, and then I think it's one of those places where you don't fully appreciate how good it is until you're outside the school. I mean, when you're there, you're really loving it, and then you come out and you come back to it, and you feel just the quality of the community, the passion of the people, the drive, the just frankly super smart people, very capable, great people, great friends. So certainly a defining experience for me, in a place where you learn judgment ultimately. Right?
Exactly.
That's what HBS
that's all about.
Teaches you. That's all it is. It's judgment on different topics. And some people never quite get into the whole case method thing, and they get frustrated that there's no answer at the end of the case.
Exactly.
Why are they telling me the answer? And some people actually get into it, and they understand that you take the answer that works for you.
Correct.
And so for me, it was a great experience, and every time I come back, I was back at my 23, I think, a couple of years ago. Was just impressed with the place and the community.
Fantastic. Even last week I was in Harvard Business School.
How are you?
Yeah. I finished again one week program which is called Mergers and Acquisitions.
Oh, cool.
And within 1 week they covered almost like 22 case studies.
Yeah, of course.
And one of the case study in that program was American Airlines mergers with American Airways. Was merging with American Airlines, and what was like a post-merger activities, how complex it is to talk about those post-merger activities is what we talked about it. So it was super fascinating to hear the classroom studies and all the stuff, case methods.
And for me, it's interesting because the obviously you go through 2 years of an MBA program, and you see 3 cases per day, 3 cases per day. At the end of the program, you've seen a lot of cases, and some people like you are able to remember the cases.
Exactly.
In my head, they all merged into some. I'm unable to tell. I can't remember a single case. I just really, literally cannot remember a single case. But I remember the takeaways. And I remember the ideas, and I remember the process.
So these cases, when they are teaching inside the classroom, right? So they basically provoke you to get some kind of takeaways so that will stay within you all the time.
That's right.
So that way, when you're in the real life, when you're experiencing those kind of situations, those can trigger into your thoughts as a thoughts.
Yeah, and as a way of learning there's it's interesting because it's not just examples. There's, I think, true learning objectives with every case, which are principles and ideas. I think you come out of HBS actually having learned all those principles and ideas. You may not have learned them the same way you would have learned them somewhere else.
Exactly.
But you've certainly learned them in a way that stays with you.
After HBS, right, Alex, you again, you started working for McKinsey, right? So I wanted to ask you about, because lots of technology companies are evolving, especially Microsoft, Amazon, these kind of technology companies are evolving, and everybody wants to work these kind of high-end technology companies. But what made you to get into McKinsey, of consulting sort of the workload?
In my case, it was a mix of good reasons and bad reasons, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I think the bad reason was, it was the thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
It was the path at the time. It was one of those places that you felt could give you a good label on your resume.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the reasons why I did it. The other one was actually because there's this idea, which I think holds today, that McKinsey, I can't speak to all the other consulting firms, McKinsey trains you in a way. It's actually almost like a business school extension in some way, and shapes you to be a good business leader.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly a good problem solver. I think that's the core of what McKinsey does. But also just in general a good business leader. And I think that holds. I think that was, it certainly is one of those places that has shaped who I am.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a ton. There's McKinsey, there's HBS to some extent, there's Amazon. But there are some organizations like that have a way of getting into your DNA and shaping how you do things. And I think McKinsey is certainly one of them that has shaped in many ways the way I think and the way I work. And it's certainly about the way you think, meaning there's a lot of structure that comes into what you do at McKinsey, a lot of practicality. I think that McKinsey will fear the reputation of sort of consulting firms more than anybody on earth, more than the companies themselves. They fear coming across as generic. They worry. They want to be very practical. They want to be very operational, and they really drill that into you. And they have a super high bar for that.
Wow.
Very, very for high bar in terms of problem solving and so on, but also high bar in terms of being real, being practical, and telling people things that they can do. That actually can truly add value, and not just the things that you learn to hate when you're at McKinsey. It's strategic frameworks. Oof, bad beginning. Whenever someone starts using strategic frameworks, it's a bad start. So you stay away from that, and you develop just a desire to do truly impactful things.
Fantastic. So you have a high regards about McKinsey then?
I think the world of McKinsey. I think it's an amazing firm, amazing people, super talented, values driven. Obviously they're in the press and considering the breadth of work they do, you're surprised they wouldn't be on the press even more. But I think it's an amazing firm.
Wow. So I wanted to feel like I want to go back and work for McKinsey.
It's actually a great place to work for. So yeah.
Tell me about something, the biggest gig that you did at CVS Health.
Yeah.
It's a beauty and personal care. Super fascinated to see that the number of stores that you have managed when you're working at CVS Health. Almost like 7,800 stores that you have managed, number one. And also 5 billion revenue, Alex. You have managed 5 billion revenue at CVS under health and beauty care. How did you achieve this kind of a number from a CVS?
No, I inherited this kind of number, just to be clear. I inherited the number of stores. I didn't manage the stores directly. I managed the category management part of the beauty and personal care business, which means you make decisions on, I believe, the most strategic decisions at a retailer in terms of, what do you sell, the assortment, at what price, how do you promote it, and how do you present it. That's pretty much what a retailer does. Then there's, of course, the strategic decision of where do you open stores, which is critical. And then there's a lot of operations of how do you manage this, which is managed by the store operations team. I didn't oversee that. I did have actually some of the BD advisors. But yeah, it's a very large business managed by a very small number of people.
Wow.
With believe it or not, actually very few resources beyond the established. When you have 8,000 stores, that's a lot of resources. But incremental resources that are given to you was very limited because all the retail business was aimed at being a profit driver for the company. So it's not necessarily. It's more the business that I think CVS Health wanted to milk more so than the business that CVS Health wanted to throw a lot of money into. But it's an amazing experience. I was very fortunate because I was hired by a woman by the name of Judy Zansoni, who led all the front store, which is a $20 billion business. And she was a visionary, and she was a strategic thinker, and she was fearless.
Wow.
I've never met anybody who had such appetite for innovation, and very, very thoughtful, but great, extraordinary appetite for risk.
Wow.
So she was constantly asking us to innovate in the business at great speed and at great scale. And what you discover when you do that in a business that has a physical component to it, like an 8,000 store business, is that driving innovation and driving execution become the most difficult thing that you can do.
And it looks like you've learned a lot from
Judy.
Judy.
Yeah, I learned a ton from Judy. Judy was also she remains a mentor. She remains a friend. She remains an advisor, and she's one of those people that has the ability to get to the core of any topic. With the fewest words possible, and really extract the essence of what really mattered.
Wow.
With just incredible vision and a real sense of real.
Wow.
In her case, it was a lot of passion for business. I wouldn't find the most growth opportunities. It also didn't take a fortune teller to see where retail and commerce was going. So I called a former mentor from McKinsey who was at Amazon, and he introduced me to directed me to some areas where there could be opportunity, and that's how I landed at Amazon.
What?
Yeah,
Amazon Prime Video. Who doesn't know about Prime Video? At every household uses Amazon Prime Video.
Initially, actually, it was I went into the Kindle content business, so the electronic books. I was running basically the equivalent of, think of it as a chief revenue officer. So what they call it, demand generation. So working on all the things that I've worked on all my life, which is marketing and merchandising and pricing and promotions and assortment, all these different components. And this was an amazing business in every possible way. Amazing people. You have to imagine, you're surrounded by people who like to read. Like super interesting people, super good people. Amazing business, like really good business, really good, really good economics. Actually, I think from what I've seen, the place where the Amazon values and the leadership principles came to life in the best of ways.
I see.
It was Amazon at its best, basically, Kindle content. And it was a great experience reporting to a couple guys, David Nagar and Chuck Moore, great leaders. And then the opportunity came to run the U.S. Prime Video business. And I just have a ton of passion for video. I have a ton of passion for film. I liked what the Prime Video service offered to customers in terms of variety, because if you actually go into Prime Video, there's a lot of variety, much more than people realize.
Correct.
Including some of the stuff that I like to watch. Many of the stuff that I like to watch is hard to find anywhere but in places like Prime Video and a few other services, but not many. So I took that opportunity, and that was, fascinating in different ways. But a more complex organization as well.
How was Jeff Bezos' vision at that time to build this kind of Amazon Prime Video?
Jeff Bezos was amazing. He was, again, one of those people who had the unique ability of identifying opportunities like years before anyone else. He was also one of those people that, you'd go into a meeting, you would be there, you would go with a document in a very Amazon way. People would read the document and people would start commenting and there were good ideas, bad ideas. And then he'd jump in and he just went exactly to what mattered. Just the most amazing visionary type of person. I think his vision for Prime Video was that it would, it's a little bit of what has happened, which is it's a service that drives stickiness, and it may be a service in the future brings a lot of advertising revenue, basically.
Wow.
I think that's what he thought. I think there was a lot of building the plane was being flown, and this took forever. We think about it's. I'll give you a statistic which I think is little known. Roughly, Prime Video was launched roughly at the same time as the Kindle content business was launched as Kindle. So this thing has been going on. Making a bet on the future for, with very significant investment for over 10 years, continuing to make a very significant investment. I think it's visionary, and it's hard also economically speaking. It's a difficult, the math is hard.
Which two companies that you pick that these two companies have really helped you to become who you are today?
I think from a company standpoint, if you told me leaders and that I've worked with, I may have a slightly different answer, a bit more diverse. But from a company standpoint, I think there's companies out there that have a way of getting into your DNA. And I think McKinsey and Amazon are two such companies.
Wow.
They bring you in, and there was a Star Trek sort of character, these Bjorks, that basically, they said resistance is futile. They sort of absorbed you into their culture, and it's a little bit like that. Before you know it, you've become a McKinsey person, and before you know it, you've become an Amazonian. And the thing that's amazing is that you remain that forever. You remain a McKinsey person in the way you think, in the way you work. You remain an Amazonian. I think forever. It gets into your DNA and it shapes who you are. And these two companies certainly achieve that for me at least.
You have been growing career into a corporate ladder, and you've gained a lot of knowledge. You've gained a lot of wisdom. And what made you to shift your career to start a startup, especially in video AI space?
Yeah, a mix of passion, boldness, lack of information, naivety. A lot of those things together that brought me to that decision. I think the moment was right for me. It happened, my decision happened sort of not quite in the middle, but at the back end of the pandemic, which I think for a lot of us was a time to reflect on what we had achieved, not achieved in our lives, and what was going to happen going forward, depending on different routes we could take and what we'd done, and I felt really fortunate. I feel very fortunate that I've done a lot of things that I wanted to do when I looked, forward as a student or a young professional. And one thing I hadn't done was launching my own business and launching a startup. It's something that I had on my bucket list for a long time. And I was seeing the opportunity emerging at the intersection of commerce and video, and this is what I do. This is what I love: commerce, video, and technology and AI. It's just that intersection was very unique for someone like me. It's a moment that it felt silly not to try and capture. I felt like I had the capabilities to do this. If I didn't do it, why? If I didn't do this one, which one would I do? Or did I not have the courage to make this?
So building a startup, again, like a lot of capital intense, number one. And also you, again, raising a capital, all song and dance and hiring. So you need to, again, bottom up. You need to do fresh start, right? So what was your experience? Because you have one side, you had worked in Amazon that was all given in the form of sponsorship and everything.
Yeah.
But here you need to look everything from your side. So how do you manage that entire contrast when you're being part of a startups?
Yeah, I think it's I think actually going back to the beginning of our conversation and what you learn at a place like HBS is that there's no such thing as a tool that works in every single situation. You have to adjust what you do and your style to different settings and different contexts. And I think you're right. I think that when you're in a startup situation, you have to do everything, and you have to be comfortable doing everything. And if you're the kind of person who says, "Hey, I don't like to do this because it feels like it's like almost like an emotion for me," then you're not going to be very happy in a startup because you have to do everything. I've gone from sourcing content, editing content, selling almost door to door, doing some basic, all the analysis, all the Excels, everything. You do everything, and you have to just accept that that's the reality of the team you have, and of what the job calls for. So it's a very different approach to work.
What kind of a problem statement that you're trying to solve in your startup?
Right now, it's more than a problem statement. It's a opportunity statement, I would think. The opportunity is that, from my point of view, all of product discovery is migrating to video. It used to be that people would, go to places like Amazon and so on and read through a lot of product descriptions and reviews and so on. Younger generations have zero appetite to be doing this. It's become overwhelming, frankly, not very reliable. All the descriptions look the same. All the ratings look the same. They want someone to give them an overview of what they want in an effective way, and someone that they can relate to, and someone that is authentic, but someone that also says things that matter to them. And there's a way to leverage technology to create that connection. Create that connection by putting the right creator in front of the right customer, by adjusting the content so that it's as relevant as it can be for every customer, and you can use all sorts of technologies, AI and not AI, to create the best possible discovery experience for customers, and bring that capability to brands who want to sell better to customers.
Because I'm curious to go into the specific topic, especially in your startup. Yeah. Because when you see the ChatGPT, it's almost like a 13 months life so far, like 13 months baby of ChatGPT. That is where the AI has been kicked in. But from your startup, the Trendio is already AI was using before, much before than that. So how does the AI played a key role in your business model?
No, our business model is very much based on AI and automation. Some things require the latest AI, some things require advanced analytics, some things require just pure automation to make things easier. But the AI that we bring is video AI. Video AI is a little bit sort of earlier in its development than some of the text-based AI that people have gotten really familiar with, or even image-based AI.
Correct, like DALL-E.
Yeah, DALL-E and so on. Video AI is a bit more complicated. It's coming, and we're part of it. We're leveraging, as you can imagine, tools that exist in the broader sort of AI community to create the best possible experience for customers. But what we're doing basically is taking any given shopping video, cutting it into self-standing pieces, identifying which pieces are going to work better with what customers and bringing them back together. That is a complex problem. And we use a combination of AI techniques to actually bring in.
Do you need to use multiple film shoot for multiple languages, or?
No, we right now we're focused on the US. So it's a single video from a creator. What we do is we listen to what they say. Mm-hmm. When I say we, is our machines, and we look at what happens on the screen, the movements on the screen, the objects that are detected, and we use that information to first cut the videos into individual segment, and then basically identify features of things that happen in those segments, and then we correlate the features with the customer behavior. And then based on that, we're able to predictively look at any new video and say, this segment will work, this segment will work less well, this one is going to be more effective. So it's all that intelligence that we bring forward.
So this all intelligence has been built by the AI.
All the intelligence has been built by the AI. It's AI models, where many of them are proprietary. We've built in our team. Many are also leveraged from existing tools. So building on tools, the way all these developments happen today.
What is your overall experience so far building this startup experience? Is it like as it was planned, or are you seeing a lot of hiccups while building this?
No, it's a ton of hiccups all the time. It's nonstop hiccups. It's hiccups in terms of the business model, hiccups in terms of the technology, hiccups in terms of the funding environment, hiccups in terms of everything. Which is what I think when people think about startups is what they imagine, and they're right to imagine that. The thing that you don't quite imagine is how stressful it is when you're going through it. These hiccups are really a lot of work.
I'm also in the same boat.
Yeah. So you get this feeling. I think what's great about it is, it's living intensely, and living intensely is fun. But you do get the feeling of packing 3 years in one. And packing 2 years in a month, and it's really, it's intense and it's emotional.
Who are the mentors, or who are the people who inspired you, who you are today? Can you name a few names that you?
Oh, for sure. No, totally. I've been incredibly fortunate to have amazing mentors throughout my career, in every company I've been in. Some of the people that come to mind, Sajal Kohli, who runs the consumer practice for McKinsey, was an amazing mentor, a good friend. Judy Nassili, I mentioned her at CVS, was an incredible mentor, great friend. David Nagar, who runs Kindle content and books for Amazon, was a great mentor at Amazon and also a great friend. And all these people have helped me, influenced me, and I'm in their depth for sure.
Wow. So thank you very much, Alex, for sharing your wisdom.
Well, thanks, Jake, and thanks for having me.
And truly, you have inspired us, including me.
Yeah.
And I look forward to definitely take the tools, loyalty, and also trust, relationships are the key takeaways from this episode.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex.